Alright, I had a old video I was doing and it got messed up, so let's try this really quick. Looking at Bitcoin right now, we have the hourly Stoke starting to turn bearish, but it's not confirmed. It can still reverse very easily. We're still overall looking relatively bullish, so I close my short-term scalps. I feel like there could still be some more upside, so I'm not going to short. But I did close the trades because I wasn't sure. We were facing major resistance. We broke into the cloud. We weren't able to break back up above the cloud at all and close above the cloud. So we got to this little apex here, and I wasn't too confident that we'd be able to break above the cloud, so I decided to close my longs. Now, we're still looking a little bit bullish here, actually. We can still reverse and push up higher, but looking at the Stokes, there's certainly a case to be made that we are going to dump pretty soon. So looking at the 15-minute, we're pretty bearish, but we haven't come down that much. If we get an early reversal on the 15-minute, and we get that premature reversal on the hourly, and the Stoke turns bullish again, that means we most likely got above the cloud. If we get back above the cloud, I'm going to reopen a long, especially because this trend line has been really, really strong. We have a trend line from earlier that was incredibly strong right here. That may end up forming a pretty strong rising wedge. So if we were to close right above the cloud around here, I could get into a long and ride that up for 1 to 2%, maybe 2.5%, depending on how long it takes, and ride this rising wedge all the way up till maybe even getting a prior to hitting the same prior top around 9,200. That's certainly a possibility. That's the bullish scenario. So I'm not in anything now, but I'm considering that. I'm watching that, and I have alerts set both above and below the current price. So you'll see right here, I have this notification set up. So if we were to pop up, get up there, I'm going to know BTC went up a little bit. And then if we come down here, and this trend line starts to get close, right, and we're going to potentially fail to hold that trend line, I'm going to want to get a notification because this is the bearish scenario. This trend line has been holding really well. If that trend line does fail and we get down below that trend line, I'm going to short right away because we're already in the cloud, and you can see it's been really hard to get back above the cloud. Once you're in the cloud, usually you run all the way across to the other side, and it's very hard to escape the cloud until that happens. The only time it does, where you do get an early bounce and then you're able to get back above the cloud, is if you have a strong Ichima dynamic support. Check out how incredibly strong the 99 EMA is. As you guys know, that's one of our Ichima dynamics. So, broke into the cloud, strong Ichima dynamics, big bounce on the hourly 99 EMA, got resistance from the top of the cloud, haven't been able to break through. Now we have horizontal resistance at 88.95, 8900. It's holding us down right at 8900. We haven't been able to get above that and close. We've peaked up for a second, but we can't get a closed candle up above that level. So, since there's 35 minutes left in this candle, I'm going to give it another 30 minutes. Then I'm going to make a decision. If we break up with any force above that, then I'm going to consider that a bullish scenario. I'm going to enter into a trade. So essentially, I'm going to enter a long if this alert triggers and I get notified. Well, once I get notified, if it hits 89.30, I'll take a look. And if it looks like it will continue up, great. And if it looks like it might get rejected, I'll ignore it for the time being. If the trend line support, this yellow line, fails, then I'm almost positive we're going to go down to my earlier target. I said if we do short, I'm almost definitely going to expect a target right here at 85.40. So if we do fail to hold this yellow trend line, I'm not going to expect the 99 EMA to hold again. I would probably expect it to drop all the way down to the bottom of the cloud. So that would be my short-term play to the short side. And if we break up from here and close above the cloud, then I'll bet long, in which case we're still delaying the inevitable. We're still going to have a dump. So if that's the case, I'm going to ride it up in this rising wedge and see what happens. Now, the other thing to look at again are the Stokes. So on the hourly, we don't have confirmation here. It could certainly reverse and turn bullish again, even though it's starting to turn bearish. It all depends on what happens in the short term. So if the 15-minute gets one more candle in 3 minutes and it starts to turn green and gives us an early reversal, we're going to see the Stoke reverse on the 15-minute and give us another push up just like this. If that happens, that's going to facilitate the bullish reversal on the hourly Stoke. So the hourly Stoke isn't going to stay sideways. It's going to turn straight up bullish again if we get another green candle on the 15-minute chart. So that's something we have to watch. Beyond that, the short-term stuff is really only if you're scalping, so I'm not looking at those right now. My overall analysis on the 4-hour shows that we're running out of time to get a bigger dump. This was the initial big dump. We're now getting a bounce. So if this bounce fails and we don't fail to hold this support, this trend line support, we're going to get a nice big dump back into the lower 8K range, mid to lower 8K range. And if this trend line support continues to hold, we may actually see the hourly and the 4-hour both turn bullish. If that happens, I'm going long, absolutely, because if that's the case, I'm actually planning on hitting this main trend line from earlier. This is the main trend line that goes back from, for 2 years back to the high in 2017. So this is part of what my great analysis was early on. Was I exited and shorted when we were close to that trend line because I didn't think we were going to get all the way there. We can still get all the way there before we get another dump. If we have the hourly and the 4-hour both giving us bullish confluence, and we get above the cloud and everything like we discussed, I think we might push all the way up to 9,500, 9,600 and get rejected from the main trend line first. If we break through this trend line, we're going right to 20K. That's a rough analysis on the longer-term outlook. For now, I'm more concerned about short-term, so I'm focusing on the hourly so I can watch what happens with the trend line support as well as that Ichimoku cloud like we discussed. So that's everything I'm looking at. That's everything I have alerts set for. So now you'll know what I'm waiting on, and when I do make a decision, obviously I'll let you guys know right away. I'm going to share this publicly, so if you're in the group, I'll let you know right away. If you're not in the group, I'm just going to yell at you afterwards and say, don't you wish you were in the group because you could have known about my entries earlier? All right, thanks for stopping by.